In Malaysia, federal budgets are presented annually to identify proposed revenue and spending and forecast economic conditions for the upcoming years and its fiscal policy for the forward years. The federal budget includes the government's estimate of revenue and spending and may outline new policy initiatives. Federal budgets are usually released in October, before the start of the fiscal year. All of the Malaysia states also present budgets. Since state finance are dependent on money from the federal government, these budgets are usually released after the federal budget is a major country financial plan for the fiscal year, which has a force of law after it approved by the Malaysian Parliament and signed into law by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Revenue estimates detailed in the budget are raised through the Malaysian taxation system, with government spending represent a sizable proportion of the overall economy. Besides presenting the government's expected revenues and expenditure, the federal budget is also a political statement of the government's intention and advantage and has profound macroeconomic implications. The budget is published in the House of Representatives by the Minister of Finance and Malaysia, followed in conversation of the One Minister system. For example, the Prime Minister has the support of a majority in the House of Representatives and must in any case be able to ensure the existence of no absolute majority against the government. If the House fails to pass the government's budget, even by RM1, then the government must either resign so that a different government can be appointed or seek a parliamentary dissolution so that new general election may be held to reconfirm or deny the government's mandate. Important highlights in 2017 national budget. Firstly, government has reduced tax rate between 1 to 4 percentage points for companies with significant increase in taxable income for year of assessment 2017 and 2018. Reduced tax rate also from 19% to 18% for SMEs with taxable income up to first 500,000. Bring subsidies to helping the people how getting the lower income. For example, brings assistance for 2017. Household with monthly income below 3,000 raised to 1,200 and for household earning 3,000 until 4,000, the brain allocation increased from 800 to 900. Government will provide nearly 10 billion for fuel subsidies, including cooking gas, toy charges, and public transport. For the purchase of reading material, PEC, sports equipment be combined as lifestyle tax relief up to 2,500 from 2,000. Affordable housing for first-time buyers can get the government vacant lands as strategic location will be given to GLCS and Prima to build 30,000 houses. The selling price will be 150,000 to 300,000 ringgit. Besides, government will build 10,000 houses in urban areas for rental to eligible youngs with permanent job rental up to 5 years below than market rate. Rakyat Centric project will be continued through private finance initiative with allocation of 10 billion. The impact of national budget to macroeconomic concern for affordable houses is Malaysia government has now planning to construct more affordable housing for the first-time home buyers and for young, which 10,000 houses in urban area are to be rented. And so, the government has set the direction and is pushed the Perumahan Rakyat Satu Malaysia Prima and other schemes for first-time home buyers are in the right direction in support of housing for our young. Construction of new affordable housing to make it affordable create a host of jobs from architect to contractor to others employed in the construction trade. Often, affordable housing is constructed underutilized parcels because they are more cost-effective to develop. In both large metropolitan areas and region towns where housing prices are high, a lack of affordable housing place locate firms at a competitive disadvantage. They are placed under wage pressures as they attempt to decrease the income or housing price gap. Key workers have fewer housing choice if price rise to non-affordable levels. So if more affordability housing between areas may create market to increase. Therefore, unemployment rate will be decreased since the worker will get more jobs by constructing the affordable houses. Affordable housing provides economic benefits to those who live in it too. Households that pay less from their paychecks for housing costs can afford to spend more on their items, including groceries, clothing, and healthcare. They can also afford to save more for emergencies or for major purchases such as a car or education. This provides these households with greater economic stability because it is easier to avoid living from paycheck to paycheck. They are less likely to face stress of moving from place to place because they fall short of rental or housing payments. Persons who live in affordable housing tend to be more stable, long-term employees because they do not need to move so often and face difficult coming to work regularly. Business benefit by having a stable employee population because it reduces employee turnover and relates cost in training new employees. It also reduces problems associated with lack of dependability as to whether a sufficient number of employees will show up to work. The rate of the loan of the houses decrease, more people will spend more on buying the houses. Therefore, demand on the houses will be increased. When the investment of the houses increase, the GDP will be increased too. This is because people will consume more and will positively. The price of the affordable houses affect the aggregate demand and aggregate supply of the affordable house. When the prices of the houses decrease, which people can afford to buy, the aggregate demand will be increased. It is also related to the income of the buyers. More income they receive, more highly expectation they will buy the houses, and so the demand will be increased too. Next, local business that supply building material and other suppliers benefit from the sale of such product or service to the building contractor. From here, local government can reap the benefit of increased income in the form of occupational license fees or net profit from the jobs and service being provided. The quality of supply is determined by the cost of these inputs, which are the price of existing costs of the houses and the technology of production. As the price of those inputs increase, the firm has the incentive to supply more because they can get extra revenue or income from the selling the goods. Besides that, a decrease in cost of production, this means business can supply more at each price. Lower costs could be due to lower wages, lower raw material costs. In conclusion, Malaysia's GDP grew at 4% until 5%, inflation between 2% until 3%, and a deficit target of 3%. These were all within expectation and more or less communicated before the doubling of the budget. As revenue is expected to start growing again as well as operating expenditure, the impact will again be slightly negative on growth as implied by the reduction in the deficit. There is a complementary set of fiscal and monetary policy settings that are consistent with full employment growth. At the extreme, you could have highly expansionary fiscal policy offset by contractionary monetary policy or expansionary monetary policy offset by contractionary fiscal policy. In between the two extremes, there will be trade-off. Government will build 10,000 houses rent for those who have permanent job. The rental up to 5 years below the market rate. When the houses built at strategic location, that the selling price will be 1,500,000 to 300,000. Government decided to allocate 50 million to enhance graduate employability. In 2017, increased 20,000 graduates.